Hello, welcome back. This is a slightly different video to the two previous ones I've made because this is more of a film review. If you don't know me personally, I'm a film studies student and I absolutely adore film, and frequently I will generate a random review on a film that either I liked or I think is meaningful, or a film that I absolutely despise. I might do a video on I think it's 2024 film The Substance, because I wrote a hefty review for that and I rated it a half a star maybe because, God, well, I won't get into it now. So, 6 months ago, I entered the world of an auteur, Daniel Craig in his twink era, and a 2024 film that few people expected. Today we are talking the film Queer. For context, this film was a 2024 Luca Guadagnino, I can't say his name, I probably should have looked it up before, release starring Daniel Craig, Drew Starkey, Jason Schwartzman, and a lot more. Its runtime is 2 hours 15 minutes, and it was distributed by A24 with a 3.4 star Letterboxd rating, currently as of 2025 on Letterboxd. I would say this film sparked conversation. Personally, what stood out was its surrealism, something I wasn't expecting from Luca, but in hindsight it does fit with his creative manipulation of cinema. Now, this review is my own personal take on the film, it's what I understood from it, and it isn't that far off from an essay that I would produce in my film studies course, maybe just without the complicated terminology. But I hope it comes across as a passionate and maybe even thought-provoking review, as it's just my little cinephile insight into such a beautiful film. Truthfully, I only rated this 3 out of 5 stars on Letterboxd. I'll link my account below in the description. But that's because it isn't my kind of film. It's not something I would generally go out and watch if I wasn't as interested in film as I am. This doesn't mean, however, that it is a bad film, because it isn't. I'm about to describe to you how much of a absolutely beautiful spectacle it is, and it demands the recognition of this beauty that it's got. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So let's get into it. Now, Queer is not a film that can be neatly folded into the tiny package of conventional narrative. It is a surreal, often discomforting exploration of identity, desire, and self-destruction, one that relentlessly demands you to question, to reflect, and perhaps, most importantly, to feel. There's something exquisitely disorientating about its refusal to provide a straightforward answer, something undeniably powerful in how it subverts the typical narrative expectations of queer cinema. From the outset, we are introduced to Eugene and Lee, two characters who seem to exist at opposite ends of a queer experience, yet inextricably linked by time, space, and shared desire. What's remarkable is that both characters, despite their physical and temporal differences, feel like two halves of the same soul, both dislocated from a society that offers them no clear answers and no stable grounding. The film operates with a visual language that speaks louder than words. The constant contrast between static shots of the world around them and the movement with their own journeys is hauntingly effective. In these moments, the outside world remains unmoved, unyielding, as Eugene and Lee's internal progressions unfold at different paces. For Eugene, the world is a waiting room full of potential but frozen in place, while Lee, losing his grip on his own reality, watches it all collapse. The film captures a sense of stasis, the world moving forward, but in both cases the protagonists seem trapped in the same moment, the same inertia. It's a masterful use of cinematography, where the lack of movement in the outside world serves as a stark contrast to the tumultuous, emotional evolution happening within the characters. And yet there is a visual connection between them. The cigarette, the quiet outside world, the moments where both characters seem to pause in reflection. These aren't just stylistic choices, they are metaphors for the internal realities of both characters. Cigarettes are more than just a prop here. They are like slow-burning thoughts that fleet in moments of clarity in the haze of self-questioning. For both Eugene and Lee, these moments signify a world outside of themselves, one that is unchanged by their intimate, desperate struggles. But Queer isn't just about the dichotomy between stasis and movement. It also highlights the difference between desire and self-destruction. Lee's tragic attempt to experience the high that Eugene seems to embody manifests in his turn to drugs, an effort to capture something ineffable that Eugene seems to carry so effortlessly. The drugs are symbolic of Lee's longing to bridge the gap between himself and Eugene, to align himself with a version of queerness that he feels he lacks, perhaps doesn't understand. It's a desperate yet profoundly human search for connection. The emptiness that follows his attempts to capture that fleeting moment of Eugene's essence echoes the impossibility of fully embodying another person's identity, of catching someone else's truth, especially when yours is still unclear. The tension between Eugene's impossible-to-read appearance and Lee's heart-on-sleeve persona only deepens the divide between the two. Lee's desperate gratitude for even the smallest crumbs of affection from Eugene reflects his search for validation, something that he has not been able to offer himself. Eugene, by contrast, seems to resist being understood, perhaps because he has yet to understand himself. This dynamic, this constant push and pull between self-denial and self-acceptance, resonates deeply as a metaphor for the queer experience. It's messy, it's painful, it's surreal, and it's not meant to have a neat resolution. In this film, queerness is not something to be easily labelled or understood. It's something to be felt, to be experienced, and to be lived through the struggle. This lack of a satisfying narrative arc is one of the film's most powerful choices. It refuses to offer closure because the queer experience itself is often unfinished, unresolved, or ambiguous. There's a beauty in that chaos, in how the film reflects the constant struggle to reconcile desire with self-perception. It's messy, it's confusing, and maybe that's the point. The film doesn't offer a clear moral or tidy ending. Instead, it demands that we sit with the discomfort, that we understand that the journey itself, with all of its confusion and contradictions, is valid. Queer becomes not just a film about the struggle between Eugene and Lee, but a broader mediation on the body and identity. There's a particular line in the film that rings through like a bell.
I'm not queer. I'm disembodied.
If queerness is to be embodied, then to deny that embodiment is to deny your very self, to disassociate from the physical reality of your existence. This idea permeates the film, with the characters' physical deterioration reflecting their inability to accept themselves fully. Lee's self-destructive tendencies, his growing dishevelment, his spiral into substance abuse, all point to a refusal to love and accept his body as a vessel for his queer identity. The symbolism of the gun, never used until the very end, speaks volumes about control and release. Throughout the film, the gun is a symbol of potential violence, of power waiting to be wielded. When Lee finally uses it, it represents a violent rejection of the past, of his younger self that he once denied who he was. The snakes too are a vital part of the film's symbolism. They act as guardians, constantly barring Lee from the acceptance that he needs. The snake eating itself at the end is perhaps the clearest metaphor for the consequences of refusing to confront the self, a self-destructive loop, forever trapped in an eternal battle that leads nowhere. In the end, queer will leave you with more questions than answers, and that's where its strength lies. It isn't about providing resolution, but about giving space for personal interpretation. It asks you to embrace the chaos of identity, to sit with the contradictions, and to understand that sometimes there are no easy answers. As much as I would love to crack the code of this film, I am left with the same feeling of frustration and awe I assume I will have upon many, many rewatches. Perhaps that is the beauty of queer. It is as impossible to fully understand as the identity that it seeks to portray. In a world that constantly demands clear definitions and labels, queer stands as a rebellious, beautiful testament to the messiness of identity, the impossibility of fully understanding ourselves, and the painful beauty of being in a world that remains steadfastly the same while we continue to change. It's not just a film, it's an invitation to think, to feel, and above all, to question. So, yeah, that is my take on such a beautiful and surreal film that is queer. If you guys have watched it, feel free to comment your thoughts about it. If you haven't watched it, I really do recommend. It's not just targeted towards queer people. It is a whole allegory, or allegory, however you guys want to say it, for the theme of identity. Each one of us has an identity, and each one of us experiences it in a different way. So I think it is definitely worth watching, and I hope you enjoyed my little take and review of the film. So thank you for watching.